about it years in advance, even before it happened. I had many people say, Christopher, Russia would never invade Ukraine, and you were all wrong. And now you say things like, well, we're not going to have a World War III. You're all wrong. You say things like, well, there's not an hyperinflationary collapse. What are you talking about? You're all wrong. Prices have tripled in housing. They've doubled and tripled in food. They've doubled and tripled in energy. And this is all a part of the transition. And now Saudi Arabia is blatantly wide out in the open. Supposed to be a U.S. ally, pivoting and strengthening ties. And now with this dramatic cut, which will affect the petrodollar and the ultimate demise of it. The demise of Western fiat currency, which is the goal. Again, to move to central bank digital currencies and CBDCs. Even Saudi Arabia and the Middle East is divesting out of oil because it's not a long-term solution for their kingdom. They're building super state cities, entertainment venues. They've got this new zero carbon city that they're actually building right now, which is kind of incredible if you actually look at the plans for what they're constructing. It's state of the art and also a little Orwellian and dystopic in my humble opinion. So a group of some of the world's most powerful oil producers and actors, and this will dramatically impact the West. Again, these are the type of events occurring that ensure the collapse of the United States as we've witnessed and compare it to like the former USSR. It guarantees it because this is a perfect storm into hyperinflation, rate hikes into a depression, and oil pressure at the pump. And again, if you want to control a human population, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, you go after the energy. So these energy cuts do not benefit America, does not benefit Joe Biden's administration, doesn't benefit you tuning in, doesn't benefit Americans. This benefits the BRICS, China, and Russia, which are now trading outside of the petrodollar. I would argue the sanctions don't even matter. It doesn't matter how many sanctions are targeted against Russia or Vladimir Putin when they don't use the petrodollar anymore. And the petrodollar is going out of style. They're using Chinese digital yuan, renminbi, and they're also using Russian rubles. And the rest of the world, like Saudi Arabia and others, are hunky-dory to do business with these countries, and they could care less about doing business with the United States. And these are the dramatic actions. The media is downplaying how significant this is, in my opinion. These are the same types of embargoes and economic warfare that the United States placed on Japan before the tragic events in Pearl Harbor. These are economic warfare tasks that result, in my humble opinion, as we've seen historically, into the conflagration events that erupt into World War geopolitical conflicts, which is absolutely happening now. So impose output cuts of somewhere between 500,000 barrels and 2 million barrels. Energy market participants had expected OPEC plus, which includes, of course, Saudi Arabia and Russia. So this is massive news approaching, of course, the holiday season, approaching end of year. You always want to be on your tippy toes, too, because this is when things typically tick off, is towards the end of the year as we approach the holidays in and around December. Look at how 2020, as we approach that year, all of it started to transpire into the first quarter of that year, which will then, of course, shut down the entire world. So this will undoubtedly squeeze Americans. This will undoubtedly hike oil prices and energy prices. This affects every company, every Fortune 100, Fortune 500 company in the United States and internationally. When your input costs go up, okay, if you're in the restaurant business and the cost of the food to buy the ingredients to produce the end product goes up, you translate that into higher prices to the average Joe. So again, bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, this ain't gonna stop. The inflation will not stop. This is the plan, and you need to trust this plan. This is a hyperinflationary collapse of the Western Empire.
The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries has announced it will cut back production by 2 million barrels a day. a decision that could be devastating for gas prices here at home. Our business reporter Alexis Christoforous joins me live now for more on this. Alexis, let's start with the impact of this decision. What does this mean for Americans going to the gas station?
In short, it's not going to be good news. Let's take a step back and look at why this is happening. It's the largest cut in oil production since the beginning of the pandemic. It could very well force crude oil prices back above $100 a barrel, which would also push gas prices higher again. And it can also help Russia pay for its war in Ukraine. That's because this decision could actually undermine a plan by the group of 7 wealthy nations to cap the price of Russian oil on the global market. It's a huge blow to the Biden administration. This is really political jeopardy for them, as they are now just 5 weeks out from the midterm elections. And remember, just 3 months ago, President Biden visited Saudi Arabia, trying to repair relations there amidst the highest inflation in 40 years. So this decision really makes very clear that OPEC is intent on keeping prices higher after enduring really several years of low oil prices.
And what's their motivation for doing that?
Well, they want to keep oil prices higher on the global markets. And what that's going to mean for gas prices is we could be returning to $5 a gallon nationwide. Right now, the national average is $3.83 a gallon, but in some pivotal states for the midterm elections, much higher than that. In California, $6.42 a gallon for unleaded. In some areas of California, even more than $8 a gallon. You've also got 8 hotly contested House seats in California, by the way. In Arizona, people there paying more than 40 cents a gallon than they were just a week ago. We've got a hotly contested governor race there. Nevada, Washington, Oregon, all of those pivotal states in the midterms, people there all paying more than $5 a gallon right now.
Now, gas prices were already starting to rise again after declining for 99 straight days.
Right.
So what else is at play here?
Oh, a number of things. Well, first of all, you still have very strong demand throughout the world as more and more places like China come off of lockdowns. Of course, now this situation with OPEC putting less oil on the market will only hurt. But we've had facility maintenance on the West Coast. That's pushed inventories down to record lows. Also, a refinery fire in the Midwest. And let's not forget, a European ban on Russian oil is coming in December. President Biden has promised to keep oil flowing in that country. So this is all putting pressure on prices.
But keep it flowing how? Can we boost domestic production here at home?
You would think we could, but it's not something that we can just turn the light switch on and you start to get more oil. That is something that would take infrastructure, and it would take years to happen. Look, even the Biden administration has said they have very few tools to deal with this. Now, the president does have emergency authority to limit exports. That would help boost inventories here at home, but it could backfire on him because it could cause the energy crunch we're seeing on the global markets to be that much more. And also remember, we tapped those strategic petroleum reserves. Sounded like a good idea at the time, but you only tap that in a true emergency. We have enough oil in the market right now. That's not the problem. There's not a true emergency. You can't just tap it to manipulate prices.
Right, and you don't want it gone when you actually do need it. That's why it's there to begin with.
Yeah.
Alex Lawler from Reuters News Agency. I had 2 questions. The first is...
But no, Alex, I have to talk to you about... So you have got it wrong.
Okay.
And you have got it wrong twice.
Before I ask a question,
and you will get it the third time if you did, as Reuters did not do a proper job. You talked about Russia doing this and that, and actually the day that your story came out, no one from Russia talked to me, nor I talked to anybody from Russia. You repeated that again with another tale of a story prior to that, that Saudi and Russia, blah, 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 are congregating around $100 price. That is not true. And I spent 20 minutes from one of your respected members of your bureau in Dubai, explaining to her, or actually 25 minutes, why we don't go as Saudi Arabia for price targeting. And that 25 minutes went in vain, and I really don't like that. I acted in a very respectful way, emanating from respecting the agency, and I think, but you elected to choose a phantom Saudi source, sourcey source, if I can do it as British as I could. But if you have questions, direct it to others, but not me. I'm not talking to Reuters until you respect the source, which is the energy minister on behalf of the Saudi government.
Okay, thank you. I won't ask.
So you will ask questions to any of my colleagues.
And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments.